Most people don't become financially stretched because their mortgage is shocking on day one. They become stretched because the house they chose quietly demanded more of their income than they realized. And what makes this tricky is that the numbers often look reasonable at first glance. Today, we're going to break down how much house your salary really affords, not just on paper, but in real life, and why two people with the same income can end up in completely different financial positions. When lenders evaluate how much house you can buy, they focus primarily on qualification, your debt-to-income ratio, your credit profile, your documented earnings. But qualification is not the same as comfort, and it is definitely not the same as long-term financial flexibility. Many households technically qualify for homes that quietly push their monthly budget to the edge. Understanding that gap is where smarter home decisions begin. At its core, the question is simple. How much of your income can safely go toward housing without compressing the rest of your financial life? There is no single perfect number, but there are clear behavioral patterns that separate stable homeowners from consistently stressed ones. The traditional 28% rule, level 1. You may have heard of the traditional guideline: spend no more than 28% of your gross monthly income on housing. This rule has been used in U.S. lending for decades. On paper, it provides a reasonable starting point, but in modern budgets, with higher living costs and more recurring expenses, the real-world picture is often more complicated.
Let's make this concrete. On the whiteboard, if you earn $80,000 per year, your gross monthly income is about $6,667. Using the 28% rule, 6,667 times 0.28 is about $1,867 per month for housing. At first glance, that may feel manageable, but this is where many buyers stop their analysis too early. Because the 28% rule assumes something important, that the rest of your financial life is relatively clean and predictable. In reality, many households are already carrying car payments, student loans, subscription stacks, rising insurance costs, and irregular expenses. When housing is layered on top of an already tight structure, the budget can become fragile very quickly. Imagine two people earning the same $80,000 salary. Person A keeps fixed expenses lean: modest car, minimal subscriptions, low debt. Person B carries a $550 car payment, student loans, and several recurring charges. Both qualify for the same mortgage, but their monthly breathing room will look very different once the keys are handed over. Qualification did not capture lifestyle load. Why buyers often stretch? There is also a strong psychological force at play. Home buying often happens at emotionally charged moments: moving up in life, starting a family, relocating for work, feeling pressure from rising prices. In these moments, buyers tend to focus on what they can get approved for, not what will feel comfortable 5 years later. Research from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has shown that households with higher debt-to-income ratios are significantly more likely to report difficulty covering monthly expenses. In one analysis, households above key debt thresholds showed noticeably higher financial stress indicators. In simple terms, as fixed obligations rise, financial resilience tends to fall. Housing is often the largest of those fixed obligations. The hidden cost layer. The monthly mortgage payment is only the visible portion of homeownership. What often catches new buyers off guard are the secondary costs that arrive quietly over time. Property taxes can rise, insurance premiums adjust, maintenance never disappears, and homes, unlike subscriptions, rarely allow quick downsizing. A widely cited guideline from the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies suggests homeowners often spend about 1% of the home's value per year on maintenance and repairs. On a $400,000 home, that's roughly $4,000 annually, or about $333 per month, whether you budget for it or not. Many buyers never fully price this into their affordability calculation. Let's expand the earlier example. Base mortgage payment, $1,867. Estimated maintenance reserve, plus $333. Insurance adjustments and MISC, plus $150. New realistic housing load, $2,350 per month. Notice what just happened. Without changing the purchase price, the true monthly footprint grew meaningfully. Why this matters long-term? Housing costs behave differently from most other expenses. They are persistent, slow to adjust, psychologically sticky, and legally binding. Once installed, they tend to remain for years, sometimes decades. This is why even small overextensions at purchase can echo for a very long time. You sometimes see this pattern play out quietly. In the first year after purchase, everything feels fine. By year 2, discretionary spending starts tightening. Vacations become less frequent. Emergency savings grow more slowly. Investment contributions get postponed temporarily. Nothing dramatic happens, but financial flexibility gradually narrows. The fixed cost trap. This is one of the most common home buying mistakes. People optimize for the house they can afford today without fully modeling the life they still need to fund tomorrow. Housing is not just a purchase, it is a long-term fixed cost commitment that competes with every other financial goal you have. According to data frequently cited by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Administration, households spending more than 30% of income on housing are considered cost-burdened. Above 50%, they are considered severely cost-burdened. These thresholds exist for a reason. As housing consumes more income, the margin for savings and shocks tends to shrink. So, instead of asking only, what house price do I qualify for? A more useful question is, what housing payment still allows my financial life to function comfortably? This shift sounds small, but behaviorally it changes everything.
The three-part affordability filter. A practical way to evaluate your real affordability is to pressure test 3 areas. First, your fixed expense load. Second, your emergency fund resilience. Third, your ability to continue investing consistently. If a home purchase weakens all 3 at the same time, the budget may be tighter than it appears. Emergency fund stress test. Here's a quick self-check. After your projected housing payment, can you still comfortably build or maintain 3 to 6 months of expenses? If the answer becomes uncertain, the home may be consuming too much of your monthly margin. Emergency funds and housing affordability are tightly connected, even though buyers rarely evaluate them together. Investing continuity check. Next question. Will you realistically continue investing after the home purchase? It's common for buyers to assume they will resume investing later. But behavioral data shows that once cash flow tightens, delayed investing often stays delayed much longer than expected. The house quietly crowds out the future. Research in behavioral economics, including work associated with Stanford University, has repeatedly shown that people adapt quickly to higher fixed spending levels and rarely reverse them voluntarily. In one pattern observed across multiple studies, upward lifestyle shifts tend to stick even when income fluctuates. Housing is one of the strongest examples of this effect. A calmer buying strategy. Financially stable buyers often approach the decision differently. Instead of maximizing approval, they intentionally leave buffer. Instead of stretching to the top of the range, they aim for sustainability. This often results in slightly less house up front,
but significantly more flexibility over time. To make this more tangible, consider a simplified illustration. If someone earns $60,000 per year, many stable buyers target housing around $1,200 to $1,500 per month. $80,000 per year, often around $1,600 to $2,000 per month. $120,000 per year, often around $2,200 to $2,800 per month. These are not universal rules, but they reflect a common pattern among households that maintain stronger financial margins. Every housing decision involves a trade-off. More house typically means less monthly flexibility, slower wealth accumulation, higher fixed stress during income shocks. Less house often means more investing capacity, stronger emergency buffers, and greater career and lifestyle flexibility. The math is straightforward. The emotions are usually not. The goal is not to buy the biggest home your income can support on paper. The goal is to choose a housing cost that allows the rest of your financial life to function smoothly. Because the households that remain financially calm over time are rarely the ones who stretched the furthest. They are usually the ones who left themselves room to breathe. If you take one idea from this, your salary does not determine the house you should buy. Your full financial structure does. The most stable homeowners tend to look beyond lender approval, account for hidden ownership costs, protect their emergency buffer, preserve their investing capacity, and leave margin inside their monthly budget. None of these choices feel dramatic in the moment, but over time, they make the difference between a home that supports your life and one that quietly strains it. If you approach the decision with clarity instead of maximum stretch, homeownership can become a stable foundation rather than a monthly pressure point. Run the full numbers, leave yourself margin, and your money will usually behave much more predictably in the years ahead. Quick check before you leave. If your paycheck still feels tighter than it should, there's probably a hidden leak somewhere in your system, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you want more calm, data-driven breakdowns like this, subscribe to the channel. Your future bank account will thank you.